appointed by Governor Rick Scott to a position. She was elected as a Miami-Dade County Commissioner. She was voted mayor of Homestead, and she's the only woman mayor in their over 100-year history. After lunch, please, they have these little pins with the little baby feet that they're selling for $10, and they also have t-shirts out there for sale. So you can help support their organization. Please welcome Lynda Bell.
You know, I tried to be really, really fast, and I'm like, let me run to the bathroom. Well, good afternoon. It is such a pleasure to be here. I met some of you in Tallahassee, and so it's great to see you again, kind of like our old home week. This is about my, fifth, maybe Florida Federated Republican Women's talk since I spoke in Tallahassee, so it's really exciting. I'm glad to get the message out to everybody, especially as we begin to enter an election season. I think we're always in an election season anymore. And I just want to say, I know the president spoke about this, but I am absolutely appalled at what our Department of Injustice is doing. I am absolutely appalled. We should never get accustomed to injustice. We should always fight injustice just like we do for precious lives. This is election interference at the highest level, weaponizing the Department of Justice to go after a president and ignoring every single thing that you're seeing on the opposite side, on the evil side. And so I just wanted to say that. I just wanted to get that off my mind. As a woman, you know, when I internalize something, it's like, blah, I gotta say it. I just gotta let you all know how I feel about this. Well, I am so happy to be amongst a bunch of beautiful Republican women and some pretty not so bad looking guys too. But ladies, you're a lovely, lovely group, and you're very warm and you're very friendly, and I thank you for that. So I'm Lynda Bell. I know I got the introduction. I am basically not just this activist within the Right to Life community since 1989, but it is just part of who I am now. It's part of what I've become. And the Lord called me into the Right to Life movement many, many years ago. And even when I was an elected official and became a mayor and a vice mayor and a county commissioner, I never stopped being very involved in Right to Life and Florida Right to Life and National Right to Life. And then when I was elected as the chairman of the board of National Right to Life, I was very, very honored and still have been elected every 2 years since then. So it's a privilege. So let's just dive right in. We have a lot going on right now in this country. I want you to think about the messaging. My message is about messaging. We're coming up into a time where what every single politician says is being recorded and will be used against them. So my goal is to get in front of as many politicians, prospective politicians, wannabe politicians, people who speak to politicians, people who know politicians, to let them know there is a way to properly message the right to life issue without you getting slammed. And I've noticed that DeSantis is using a lot of our wording. So I'm very happy to see that, as is Trump, although he's made a couple of errors lately. But let me tell you, so let's look back for a minute at the 2022 midterms. What happened with the red wave? What happened? I can tell you exactly what happened. And some of you that heard me talk about this, I apologize, you're getting a bit of a repeat. I can tell you exactly what happened, and I can trace the numbers and I can trace the fall. So right before the midterms, you know, we had the overturning of Roe with the Dobbs decision. Very good decision. Very properly decided decision that Roe versus Wade is now in the dustbin or the ash heap of history where it belongs. But what the left was very able to do is they were able to articulate They were able to say, this is what they want to do, women. They hate women. They hate you. They don't care if you die. If you have an ectopic pregnancy, they won't treat you. If you go to the emergency room, they won't treat you. You saw 2 cases in Broward County about that. And so we were putting out the messaging. That's not true. That's absolutely false. This returns the decision-making to each individual state. And this is not about a national law. This is about each individual state having the right. We were winning this. You saw the polling numbers. And I'm part of National Right to Life, and they were putting out tons of press releases, and we were putting out press releases, Florida Right to Life, and we were putting out email blasts, letting everybody know what does a post-op society look like? What does this look like? And we were really doing well, and we poll at National Right to Life, and we had some very good polling numbers. And then Senator Lindsey Graham came out after we had really were convincing people that this is not about a national ban. There was a role for national government to play, by the way, but this was not it. And the timing could not have been more miserable. And he came out and proposed a nationwide ban on abortions. The left said, see, we told you. And we traced the plummeting numbers, and we lost the Senate. I can trace that Senate loss back to that statement. It is horrible. And a major, I won't mention the name, but there's a major pro-life organization that is not National Right to Life and is not Florida Right to Life that got Lindsey Graham to do that. And this same organization, and there's 2 of them actually, that are hurting pro-lifers because they're saying that they're not pro-life enough. That is so evil, because what happens is you have perfect being the enemy of the good. Now, so we'll talk about that. So I tested this. Now, this is one of the many polls that we have, and I carry it with me because we have a nationwide poll, and then this is a poll of a very, very, very red state. What's the best place to find out what's going on with people? You poll a red state. So this is a poll of Oklahoma voters. So I want you to know something. I've got this practically memorized. We have lost the battle with the American public on rape and incest abortions. We've lost that battle. Whether we like it or not, and we don't like it, it's a fact. So we say that if you are a candidate or if you are an elected official and you accept abortions for rape, incest, life of the mother, and medical emergency only, that's the only time you are a pro-life candidate. Well, you have groups that are saying, no, it's either all or nothing. I've actually been in the Capitol lobbying for the 6-week heartbeat bill and have people oppose it because it had rape and incest exceptions and life of the mother exceptions. There are groups out there that believe in 0 exceptions, and they attack pro-life candidates. They attack pro-lifers. And one of the groups attacked a group, you saw some South Carolina action, some North Carolina action, as not being pro-life enough, put out massive money against them. Guess what happened? Pro-life incumbents lost. They had a 100% pro-life voting record, but because they wouldn't commit to this group that they would not exclude rape, incest, life of the mother, and medical emergencies, they opposed them. And their candidate won. Guess what happened? Every time. What do you think happened? The pro-abortion Democrat won. So we lost pro-lifers with a 100% voting record because they weren't good enough, because they believed in rape and incest, life of the mother exceptions. Now, what do you think are the percentages of all abortions that include rape, incest, life of the mother, and medical emergencies? Less than 2%. Less than 2%. So we are eliminating good. By the way, the Hyde Amendment, which is no public funding of abortion on the nationwide level, has the exceptions. Ronald Reagan had the exceptions. The Bushes had the exceptions. DeSantis has the exceptions. Trump had the exceptions. Would we say that they're not pro-life? Trump was one of the most pro-life presidents we've ever had in the history. I'm 66 years old in my history. Okay, so this is one of the most pro-life presidents I've ever seen. Well, these groups would consider them not pro-life enough. So good. Now that you know this, until we win all the hearts and minds of people, and the hearts and minds on rape and incest, we should not make that a major issue. In fact, the left knows this. I read an article that I wasn't supposed to ever see about what's the big deal about rape and incest on the left. And they were saying this is the best tool for them because they can clobber us with it. Now, I'm going to say two sentences that are exactly the same thing, but it's how I say it. I want you to see how I say it. I support a ban for all abortions with the exception of rape, incest, and life of the mother. Or I accept abortions only in the case of rape, incest, and life of the mother. It's the same thing. What one word did I say that I did not say the second time? Ban. Americans don't like to be told what to do. It's a fact. We're rebellious people. I know you tell me you can't do that, and I'd be like, I'll show you I can do that. Or like I'm on a diet, right? And then I'm like, well, who am I to tell me that I can't eat that? Okay, that's just our nature, even when it's ourself, right? Okay, so that is saying it properly. I support abortions only in the cases of rape, incest, life of the mother, and medical emergency. That's a ban on 98% of all abortions, or an ending of abortion on 98%. So we have a wonderful congresswoman from Miami. It was a hard-fought election in a very blue area, and she won. And I sat with her years ago in a Ruby Tuesdays, I think it was a Ruby Tuesdays, for about 3 hours. And I kept apologizing to the server that I was going to compensate her with a big tip for the time I was taking at her table. And I counseled this prospective congresswoman for 3 hours sitting in the Ruby Tuesday, and I was very friendly with Congresswoman Eleanor Slayton and her former chief of staff. So we got the two of them, and I said, if they say this, you say this. If they say this, you say this. Don't say this, say this. She won. She won. That was the best 3 hours I think I've spent, and I've sat, and I'm willing to sit with anybody, but that's why you guys are here. You are the eyes and ears. You're the ones that are going to go out and say, hey, this is what we heard, because you'll remember this. You will absolutely remember this, because I have people that are emailing me saying, I remember what you said, and then they quote it right back to me. That is so impressive. So now I want to talk to you just a second. Now we know how to word this, and we know how we're going to word this. Don't attack somebody for not being pro-life enough. Be very careful in how you word that. Also, there's no such thing as the perfect candidate. How do you defeat a good candidate? You try to make him be perfect. There's no such thing, because guess what? I'm not perfect. None of us are perfect. You know, we're not electing Christ to be our politician. We want him to ascribe as much as possible to that. But we have to be very careful in how we treat these people. And I have to tell you, I lobby for Florida Right to Life at the Florida Capitol. And I lobby for that. And I sit there and wait on my term for my name to be called, whether I'm in a Senate committee or a House committee. And I did it on the 15-week bill, and now I'm doing it on then I did it on the 6-week bill. I've lobbied against euthanasia multiple times. By the way, a plug. If it wasn't for Florida Right to Life, we would have active euthanasia in the state of Florida. We are the only group, and I don't quite know why, but we are the only organization in Florida who actively opposes the expansion of euthanasia, the expansion of hospice to non-terminally ill patients, and POLST, physician's orders for life-sustaining treatment, which is the exact opposite. It's life-ending treatment, on and on and on. We are the ones standing in the gap, and I want you to know that, because we're not just about abortion. We're about euthanasia. We're about infanticide. We are a whole organization. That being said, what the heck is Florida Right to Life? Who are you all? What do you do? So we have a 501c3. That's the educational arm of the organization. We are working on educating the public on what life is, educating the public. That's why we spent so much money to be at the homeschool convention, where we have a captive audience of thousands upon thousands of kids that come by who get to see and hold the fetal models and touch the babies. So I'm wanting to imprint upon their minds, this is a baby. And so that is part of our 501c3 educational arm. We have the C4, which is the operational side, the organizational side. We have a political action committee. We get a questionnaire sent to every single candidate in the state of Florida. Do you know how many candidates that is? Every state House race, every state Senate race, the congressional races are sent by national, and then we review them as well. And so we have the PAC, Political Action Committee, where we want to elect good pro-life candidates. Then we also want to defeat bad candidates, and we set out them. Or if you signed our questionnaire and we got a perfect questionnaire from you and then you didn't vote for our bill, we get to hold your feet to the fire and we don't endorse you again. So that's the PAC. So we are 501c3, C4, educational side, the PAC. And then because I was talking to Scott, we are very complementary of one another. They're on the front lines with the moms and the babies, and we're on the front lines in the Florida legislature. And I got to see a clown show. And I take no sorrow in saying the truth. I saw men dressed in dresses, angry women in combat boots, all to speak against this. A man, and I heard the word from our elected officials, pregnant people. Last time I checked, 3rd grade biology, only women can have babies and men cannot give birth. So it's a clown show sitting there. I pray when I sit there, because let me tell you what I see and feel around me, demonic activity. Do you know, not this year at the 6-week bill, but last year when we were doing the 15-week bill, which I was also proud to be there as well, we got criticized for the 15-week bill because it wasn't far enough. We agree, it wasn't far enough, but we had 24 weeks. So we were working incrementally, and it was a pre-Dobbs society. The Dobbs decision on Roe hadn't been decided yet. So we passed the 15-week bill. And then this year we said, we won, back to the drawing board, back to work, passed 6-week bill, which is a heartbeat bill. The minute the Florida Supreme Court hears this bill, which I predict will be the end of this summer, and rules that the 15-week bill is constitutional, and they will, because it is, then that passes. Then the 6-week is a trigger bill. It immediately goes into law, and we begin saving tens of thousands of babies in the state of Florida per year. So this is a really good thing. So yes, you can applaud that. I'm trying to stay with my about 20 minutes to not take from Scott's time. Petition initiatives. I know there's a petition initiative going around to put some kind of a human life amendment on the Florida Constitution. It's a bad idea. It's just a bad idea. Why? Because they don't have the money, the support. If the language gets on the ballot with a 60% threshold, the left will use it. They will attack us. We will lose it. And then guess what happens? The men in the Florida legislature and the women in the Florida legislature will say, Constitutional amendment failed. People have spoken. We don't really want to pass any more pro-life legislation. Why give them that? Plus, we are going to be busy fighting the ACLU and fighting Planned Parenthood and the League of Women Voters on their initiative. That's where we need to be. That's what Florida Right to Life is going to be focusing its time on. It's going to be a battle. So that's how I feel about petition initiatives. Plus, there's nothing wrong with the Florida Constitution. It doesn't give a right to abortion. It gives a right to privacy. It was a very silly, foolish political court, just like in Roe versus Wade, that decided that the privacy clause of the Florida Constitution somehow included abortion. This court will rightly see that's not so. And how do I know that? Because the overwhelming majority of the court was appointed by Governor Ron DeSantis. And I know 2 of them personally. It's going to be good. So I just say that. So we will be battling Planned Parenthood and ACLU, so you probably will be hearing something from us on that. We've also been fighting CVS and Walgreens and all these drugstore chains not to prescribe RU46, the abortion drug cocktails, to people. And to clarify that really quickly, that was put on a fast track by Bill Clinton without proper FDA scrutiny, and it was just fast tracked. And so here we are today with Joe Biden trying to force it down the throats of everybody to guarantee some type of level of abortion guaranteed through the mail. Florida still has a law on its books that you must see a physician, or I hate to say the word physician. If you're having an abortion, you must see an abortionist, and then you must wait 24 hours, and then you can go back, and then they must prescribe it to you. They must hand the pills to you. And it's not just one pill, it's a series of pills. It's mifepristone and misoprostol. And so it is very, very damaging. It is very painful. It is a horrible, horrible procedure to anybody that I know that's ever had that procedure. So we must be careful, as I wrap this up, to make sure that whenever we speak to anybody, a family member, and being in a Republican group, you're going to have prospective candidates that are going to be sitting right here. And so please feel free, share my business cards. If you hear them say something that makes you go, ooh, because I do it all the time. I hear people spout facts in the Right to Life community, and I'm like, that's not correct, that's not true, and I have to just be quiet. I have to shut my mouth at that moment. Here's my card, why don't you give me a call? That's what we do. So I just want to let you know that we are going to win in 2024. We can win with the proper messaging, with the proper candidates, with great oversight of ballots. We need to be very diligent, and we need to make sure that each and every one of us has buckled our seatbelt and we are ready to rock and roll in this 2024 elections. If you have any time at the end of the day, you're not working hard enough. We've got to make sure that we get our country back. Thank you, and God bless you.